Hey folks, welcome to HVAC Talk with Huff. I'm Huff. This is an opening video we're doing for a new channel that we're launching. I've actually had the name secured for a long time, but just things happen along the way in life where I would be ready to kind of launch out and was starting to work on content, and then something would happen and I kind of put it, on the back burner. But here we am. Here we are. Here we am. I'm not even good at English. This is terrible. Anyway, today's a new day in my life. Today's different. Yesterday, August 30th, was my last day working part-time for my last employer, which happened to be York Factory Direct or Johnson Controls, however you want to look at it. Johnson Controls is the parent company. I've spent the last 17 years doing tech support for OEM, original equipment manufacturer. Most manufacturers require distribution to have technical support to support the product. And so I spent 11 years supporting the Carrier product and then the last 6 supporting York. Now, I've worked this last year part-time. I launched a new business in April of 2023, Huff Master Mechanical and Consulting, after I sat down with leadership, the area director with York, told them, what I had planned. And I wasn't going to try to hurt them during the summer months. I wanted to help, and so I stayed on full time for a little while, helped them through the busy season, and then eventually went part time and was just helping along the way with some things and helping get the new leadership installed, which happened to be my best friend Tim. He took over the team, and so thankful for that and excited because I know that he's got some fresh ideas and he's going to just keep elevating the bar that has been set for exceptional tech support, right? So we had a great team, not because I was a leader. I had a great team because the people around me were all smarter than I was. Um, and so that's what you should do as a leader. You should always try to surround yourself with people that are better than you, or smarter than you, or more skilled than you. A lot of people don't because they I don't know, they get all scared or whatever. But as a leader, we should always try to surround ourselves with people that are skilled and that are exceptional. And if you take care of them, they'll work hard for you. And so, I was thankful for the team I had there. They were the best, and I know that they're going to do well now. And so today, August 31st, is my first day just working for myself and no one else. I'm excited about that, but I've already been working. I've been working specifically with a dealer out of Sterling, Virginia, that we've built a lab and built a training program for their company. The training program was something I'd already been working on, so it was being able to take it and then really apply it and find out the areas we need to tweak. And so we're really excited about that. And so there's a couple of reasons, why I left the OEM world, and what my focus is now, and why I thought that I had to leave to be able to achieve what it is that I believe that I want to do. And so let me just share a couple things shortly with you, and try not to get long in the tooth. The first thing about the OEM world is that you're always trying to support the dealer or contractor, whatever you want to call the HVAC companies that buy equipment and install it, whether you want to call them dealers, contractors, whatever. But you're always trying to balance supporting them and also protecting the brand. Example, went out to a job one time where the homeowner was complaining about the system was not dehumidifying, and that it felt clammy in there and that it was noisy, and this was a brand new system and they were not as comfortable with the new system as they were the old. The dealer had already been out there 2 or 3 times, kept telling us that the pressures are good and stuff like that. And we try to get more information, and sometimes that's like pulling teeth. And we'll have a video just about that. And so go out there, and it's a single stage heat pump, but it had a air handler with a variable speed blower. And after listening to the homeowner, because you always listen first, right? Always seek to understand and then be understood, right? That's a good Stephen Covey thing. If you look at 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, it's a good book, by the way. So always seek to understand and then be understood. So I listen because you should listen, because people are not going to want to listen to you if you haven't listened to them first, especially if they're the ones that paid the money, right, for the product, and they're the ones that are feeling like they didn't get their money's worth. So after listening, it was very apparent that they weren't comfortable and that they had a problem with the noise. It was objectionable. So I could hear the air handler from in the mechanical room. It was on the first floor, and so we opened up the mechanical room door, and I could hear saying this ECM motor's wound up as tight as a banjo string. And so we shut the system down. We take the door off the air handler, and again, I told you it was a 2-ton system, and this thing is set up as a 3-ton, and it's set up with the airflow at 400 CFM a ton. So think about that. We're ramrodding 3 tons worth of air through a duct system that wasn't even very good for 2. And how I know that was we ended up setting the airflow at 350 CFM a ton for a 2-ton, right? And even then, the external static pressure was still above what we want to see. It was still high, and this was with a standard filter, so it wasn't like we had some very restrictive filter in there. And matter of fact, we made sure we told them, with this arrangement, don't go get no MERV 10 and stick in this filter slot and think that you're not going to have a noisy system, because that added restriction, that blower is going to wind up again. And so, at the end of the day, when everything was said and done, it wasn't the equipment. It wasn't commissioned correctly and set up correctly. And now we have to balance that. I mean, sometimes it felt like you worked for Circus Olay, and doing some kind of crazy balancing thing, because we don't want to throw the dealer under the bus. In this case, we'd have to throw him under the bus, run over it, and then back up, run over him again, right? We don't want to run over the company and hurt them, but we also can't walk away and let the end user think that the brand was the problem. And so navigating those waters is very difficult. And so it's a difficult job to do. And so I want you to remember that when you're talking to your local tech support person. Another reason that I had to, I want to be able to help companies, right, and not have to play the balancing act. I want to be able to help dealers, up their game and get better and elevate their service and installation departments, with training, and also help their operation and understand, uh, you know, how we can better manage people. It's something that I've been involved in heavy with leadership for a long time. It's a passion of mine. So HVAC is a passion along with leadership, and understanding the full department and not just what the techs are doing. So that balancing act that OEMs have to do is really, really difficult for those tech support guys. Another thing is OEM tech support guys will do training, which is part of the job, but you got to remember, training is just a small portion of what they can devote their time to. Because typically, all the teams that I led, we always made answering the phones priority one. If you're out on the job having a problem, that's priority one. And so to do that, training gets done in between the other things. And so it's rare that a distributor can hire a full-time trainer. There are some that do, but even then, just having one person dedicated to training can't really do all the things that you want to do. And most of the training has to have the OEM stuff involved, and meaning that it's not just HVAC fundamentals. And that's what a lot of people need, is just HVAC fundamental training. But a lot of the trainings that they do at the distribution level that, is based on the brand and telling you how to install their brand, what's different about their brand, and how to, how their brand operates, what's the sequence of operation, and things like that. Because so take a modulating gas valve, for instance. Having worked for Carrier in York, I can tell you they use the same valve, same manufacturer, same valve, but how they choose to and how to modulate and when is very different between the two. Also, their safeties and way they work the safety with the pressure switch and all is very different between the two brands. Same gas valve, right? So when we do gas furnace training, we had to concentrate on making sure people understood how to troubleshoot that. And so we're not talking as much fundamentals as we are as how the brand operates. And so I can tell you, having ridden with sales folks in both brands, going and talking to dealers and asking what their needs are, training is always in the top three. almost without question. Training is always in the top three, and you try to provide that training as much as you can. But the simple fact is that they just can't devote enough time to it. Right? It's something they do, but and they may do it well in the sense that the instructors are good, but still very limited in what they could achieve because of what they do, right? And so I wanted to be able to offer the type of training needed that I could not do in the OEM world. So I don't have to balance the brand, and I can concentrate on more specifics. And so I'm excited about this new chapter in my life. I do want to tell you one of the things that I've done is I developed a test. And this test is not, it's not really difficult and hard, but it's also not multiple choice. In other words, a technician does not have a 25% chance of answering that question right because they chose one of four possible answers. It is it's got fill in the blanks. And so what we've done is we've taken, and it's, mainly res, some light commercial kind of minded here, but we've broken down the test into some sections. Here's why. We broke it down into installation practices. You'd be surprised how many times we got on a job and the system's not performing because there's a clearance issue, right? Things under decks, we know that don't work. One time I went out there and they had two systems. They were in a pit. And originally when they built the house, they had this kind of a pit down inside. Like it was concrete floor and brick wall, like retaining walls and all. And they had these two little small units. Well, then they go in and they sell these Obladines 19 SEER two-stage heat pumps that are so big you could park a car inside right beside the compressor. And they put these two units down in the pit. And they had clearance issues on every side. And the systems aren't working right. Right? So that's an installation issue. So we got questions about installation practices. And by the way, it's, I give people a range. One of the questions may or may not be, what is the average clearance needed above a AC condenser or heat pump, right? Now, I'd give them, if they get within the range, I'd give them credit for that. But you'd be surprised what some of those answers are. Also have questions on the refrigerant cycle. I ask the question all the time, what's the state of the refrigerant as it leaves the compressor? High temperature, high pressure vapor typically is, you'd be surprised how many times that's not the answer, right? You'd be surprised how many times liquid's said, right? So listen, these folks, they put their gauges on the system and they put their temperature clamps and they know what they're supposed to be looking for, but they don't understand the process, right? I see it a lot. And so questions about refrigeration cycle, electrical fundamentals, questions about heat pumps, specifically also gas furnace questions. And then also airflow. Airflow is one of the most I don't know how to say it. It's one of the things that people overlook. It's one of the most overlooked things that has a huge impact on how well the system works. And so I was talking to someone not too long ago, and he's also a trainer, and very, very good guy, talented, and better than myself for sure. And he says, he always starts the beginning of his training, airflow, 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 and he ends it with airflow, airflow, airflow. And when we start asking questions about, measuring static, a lot of folks don't know how to do it, and they don't have the tools to do it. And listen, you don't need that much. You got a manometer that works. Got some tubing, right? And so typically we use static pressure tips, but if they don't have that, we could tell them how to stick the tubing in, at least to get a rough idea of the static, right? Might not be the most accurate, but we can get there. We can get close enough. And so airflow is overlooked, and a lot of people need airflow training. So by at the end of the test, what we're able to do is we're able to look at each member of the team, right? We test the entire team at the same time. And then we're able to look at the team and say, okay, here's the training that's needed, and here's the people who need it. That way you're not putting someone in training for something they don't need, right? Because there's nothing more, there's nothing worse than sitting in a class being told something you already know. And you're just sitting there like, why am I here? Right? Yeah, I might not be out here working my butt off and sweating, but still I'm sitting here bored to death. Most people don't like that. I'd rather be out here doing something and achieving something, right? And so we developed this test that we're able to come in, sit down. But not only that, but we also interview I like to interview the service leadership, dispatcher, service manager, things like that. Find out, what your protocols are, how you make decisions, right? And also break down, um, have a list that we ask the technicians about the tools they have. Check off all the tools that you have on this list, and find out what they're missing. Right? You may be sending someone to a job and they need a certain tool and they actually don't own it. And so these are the important things. So that's what we're going to be geared up. That's what I put all my eggs in this basket. And so I'm going to put my contact information below, my email address. Reach out to me if you want. Let's talk and talk about maybe how we can help you. My channel, I want to end with this. I want you to know that, what I won't be doing on this channel is just putting out little, tech videos on how to measure this, how to do that. And I'm going to tell you why. Because there are so many great folks out there that are doing it better than I'll ever be able to do it. That I don't want to compete in that world because that's really not my focus. Yes, I do provide technical training, but as a part of the overarching package. It's not just about technical training. It's about looking at the complete package of the service department and how we can help the actual department service, install, or both. And so training is a part of that. But there's a lot of other elements to it. Some of the best out there is HVAC School by Brian Orr. You don't get no better than that guy and his work there. Craig Migliacco with AC Service Tech. I own both of his books, and I probably screwed up his last name really bad, and I apologize, Craig. The ESCO fellows over there, Ty Brenneman and Clifton Beck. They do some great work. The ESCO folks got some great materials out there, training materials. I buy some and use them. Buy some of their books. And so there's some great folks out here that are doing it. Also, Ty had his own YouTube channel. I don't know if he still got it. I think it's Love to HVAC, maybe something like that. I may have screwed that up, but just go to YouTube and type in Ty Brenneman, and you'll see he's got a lot of great content out there. And there's some others, right? But those are some of my go-to guys. Then, of course, I can't leave out the great Jim Bergman and Measure Quick. He puts out not only just great content and makes you think, but Measure Quick is hands down, to me, the best software in the business, and I use it. I teach it. A few weeks ago, I went up there to his master class, and I did so to be able to also be certified as a trainer for Measure Quick, which I just achieved, and listen, thing I'm very proud of. Because I believe in having the right tools and digital tools. There's no reason for us out here to not be using the most accurate tools available. To be able to do that and then pair that with the right software, we're able to elevate our service guys. I remember, what John Whitman always told me: we're only as good as our least skilled tech. We're only as good as our worst guy. And what if you can take your least skilled people and help elevate them up there with your most skilled and level the playing field, and making sure that when you go out to the site visit and you go out there to do the job, that you're always doing the best work. And even if the technician don't quite understand, if we can teach them to measure in the right places and use the right tools, the software will help make up the difference. And so I'm a huge proponent for Measure Quick, and we're able to talk to you about that as well. So hope to be hearing from you somewhere down the road. If you could subscribe and like, I think that's how that works. Listen, I'm not the best at this, but I'm really passionate about it. So I'll be releasing some more videos soon, getting down more into the nitty gritty about what we need to look at when it comes to our technicians, the tools we're using, things like that. So hope to see you down the road and hear from you somewhere soon. Always remember this: always take care of your family and make sure they come first. Right? I always make sure I got my family and then my career. I work hard in my career to take care of my family. Be safe so you always get to come home to them. Right? Don't take chances. Hope to see you down the road.